Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I'm joined by the beautiful Mary Beth McAndrews. Mary Beth, how you doing?
I'm so great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I am
I also
super
love that your
excited.
last name is Sledge and it's Sledgehammer Horror. That's so smart.
Yes,
How could you
it,
not? You know what I mean?
it came naturally. So.
I just, yeah.
But before we talk about why you're here, Mary Beth, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. You are the editor-in-chief of Dread Central, and you've been writing about horror as a freelance journalist since 2017. So, Dread Central, one of our absolute favorite online zines. How did you get into Dread Central?
Yeah. So I, like you said, I've been writing about horror forever, but I really started like my like freelance career in 2017. I had dabbled with it for a couple years beforehand. I went to school and was a film studies and English major and wrote a lot about horror academically there. But 2017 was when like the real freelancing like I hit the pavement with that. And
Mhm.
for years I was writing on the side and had full-time jobs in Washington D.C. as a digital producer. So I was working in social media and digital marketing and on the side was writing about horror movies. And, life took me some places. I went to grad school, came back, didn't know what I was doing with my life, got a job at a nonprofit, didn't like the job. And luck would have it, as I was searching for an out at my nonprofit job, I got a message from a friend saying that Dread Central was hiring somebody for initially it was a social media position. And I was like, well, great. I'm a social media contractor. I've worked in social media since I graduated college. Like, love this for me. I'll do it. And then in what I don't know how to describe it, but it's really in the way that only an indie company could. The job ended up becoming something very different than what I interviewed for. I initially thought it was for just social media, and then they were like, "Actually, we would love you to like come on as like a content manager." And I said, "Oh, I mean, absolutely," but like I didn't realize that's what you're looking for, but like great. And it all kind of just became what it is now in a way that only fun indie companies can. But I'm not mad about it. It's just very funny going from, oh yeah, it'll be a social media job, to now you're editor in chief. Not mad about it, just shocking.
No,
Just shocking. In a
right.
positive way. In a positive way.
But we all love Dread Central. Obviously one of the biggest when it comes to the horror world, and you guys do an amazing job over there on keeping us updated on the new things that are coming out and everything that you guys do at Dread Central. It's inspiring and it's amazing, and I'm so happy that I finally get to work with
Thanks.
you. But that's not the only feather in your cap, because you did get your master's in film studies at the University of Chicago, and that's where you wrote
Mm.
your thesis on women-directed sexual assault revenge films. Obviously, a very cathartic way of getting art out there. Um, a lot of people, me included, it's very hard for me to watch these films. I would never talk down on them or look down on them because I know people that have been through those situations, and these films are a way for them to live vicariously through the characters that we're rooting for. Um, and that's a great medium to do that for, and I'm so proud for anybody that's able to do that. What got you into, and if it's too personal, please tell me,
Oh no, I
but
love getting personal. I get too personal. I love talking about I don't
okay.
love it, but like I'm very open about talking about it. So yeah.
Okay, I just didn't want to bring up a bad
Oh,
subject, but
absolutely. No, and I
what
totally
piqued your
get
interest
that. Yeah.
about that?
So, just to like get this out of the way, I was sexually assaulted several times by an ex-partner, and bad, not great, pretty bad. And unfortunately in therapy post this movie realized I had been sexually assaulted also by a best friend. So like just like a lot of things happening. And it's a lot. And I know a lot of people I know that, people like to think of sexual assault only happening to women, but it does happen to men as well. And so many people have experienced it. And, you know, I, for a long time, wasn't even like aware that I had been assaulted. It was a long process of trying to understand what had happened to me and all that jazz. And it wasn't until I saw Revenge, Coralie Farge's first movie. Everyone knows her from The Substance, but Revenge, her first movie, is a masterpiece in my humble, not not unbiased opinion whatsoever. And I saw that movie when it first came out on Shudder, and it it fucking changed my life. Like, to put it pretty bluntly, I watched it and thought, oh, okay, because I had really only ever seen I Spit on Your Grave as a rape revenge movie, and so I don't anymore, but I detested it for what it was. I have a better appreciation for it now, but at the time when I was still trying to kind of get a handle on like my own experiences and parsing through them in therapy, I hated those movies. I didn't want to see it. If I saw sexual assault on screen, I would recoil. I was so scared of it. And that is a valid reaction to it, I think, for people. And
Mhm.
I heard of Revenge and I thought, okay, maybe this will be good because this is directed by a woman and I just feel like it might be better. And this was my first time ever experiencing a film like that directed by a woman. And after I watched it, I thought, oh, these movies rule. They just need to be done the right way by the right people. And that kind of launched me down like a path of researching these movies, learning about these movies, and understanding these movies and the power they had and why they were so attractive in as an exploitation film, but then how they're being reclaimed now in a like whatever post Me Too world, whatever that even means. I've seen that phrase. I don't actually know what that even means at this point. Post Me whatever. Anyway, I digress. Um, there was just so much about the movie that opened my eyes, and I wanted to know more about if there were movies like this. And there are, it's a small canon, but there is one. And I just found myself really drawn to it and seeing how we could portray rape. Oh, sorry. How we could portray sexual assault. I'm so sorry. Sexual assault on screen because it's so I think it's so important. I think that, I know there are people out there that think we should never represent that on screen. And I do disagree with that. I think that it does us a massive disservice as a society to pretend that these things don't happen. The problem is people like to use it as character development or as like a spectacle rather than considering the consequences of using sexual assault as a plot device. And I think the problem is it's just seen as a plot device a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other conversation to have. But long story short, just watching Revenge and realizing what can be done with these narratives that doesn't make me feel nauseous and like my body is just something to be ogled at by men and laugh at, uh, was really eye opening and like set me down the path. And honestly, is the reason why I'm even here today talking to you about a rape revenge movie that I directed that I never thought would happen. Like, it's just, damn it, sexual assault movie. I'm so sorry. I'm so
It's okay.
sorry.
It's
I'm
okay.
so sorry.
But
But
you
like,
did bring up a couple things I want to touch on real quick because there's a lot of people out there that don't understand just because that you are a partner with someone, they don't own you. One of the
weird,
biggest
huh?
things
Ain't
that I
that ain't that
hear,
weird, huh?
yeah, one of the biggest things I hear is, oh, we're in a relationship, so you can't sexually assault someone when you're in a relationship. Bullshit.
It's
Bullshit. No
actually
still means
quite
no.
easy
Right.
to
Because
do
then you,
that.
you
And
have a
in
lot of devices you can use as being someone's partner and knowing what makes them tick or what type of almost extortion you can use against them to use their body. And it's disgusting either way. Like I said, if you're out there and you have a partner and they're doing these type of things that make you uncomfortable, that is sexual assault, and you don't have to put up with it just because that person is your partner. You still have your body to yourself, guys. And I'm not trying to sound like, you know, seventh grade health class here, but these things happen in real life, and you should never ever be made to feel uncomfortable, especially by the person that tells you they love you. So
yeah.
please
And
keep
also
that in
like
mind.
to be honest, and like a lot of statistics, I don't have the exact numbers pulled up, but a lot of instances of sexual assault and molestation are perpetrated by a person the survivor knows. It's more often than not a partner or a family friend or a friend. It's not strange men on the street. Like,
Right.
I mean, we'll talk about this later with my movie, but like that's why in the movie there's a little bit of trust. Like we try to establish trust rather than just having it be these random, like it's so often in rape revenge movies, or so often in sexual assault thrillers. It's like the woman and the man are just like, it's like a group of hicks and a woman, but we, as we've seen in other films, wanted to make that a little more complicated.
And it is, like you said, it's usually that person you trust because they feel like because you trust them, they can push this boundary and it'll be okay in the long run. And
And
it's
it's
not.
really, really easy to say. It's really, really easy to disprove an accusation if you're in a relationship too.
Right. Yeah, we were together. So what do you mean? And one other thing I wanted to touch on real
Makes
quick. You
my
said that
eye twitch. Sorry.
you said, a lot of people say these things shouldn't be shown in film. Even though I'm not a huge fan of it, and even though it does make me uncomfortable, I think that if somebody's creating art, they should have that ability to create that art. And if it makes you uncomfortable, it means they're doing their job because it's an uncomfortable subject. So even though, like I said, it's not my thing, I would never say they should not make those movies. I hate the fact that in some of them, like you were talking about, they glorify it, and it's almost as if those scenes are made for the men and not the women. And that
Oh,
makes me really
100%.
grossed
Oh
out,
yeah.
you know? So I get what you're talking about there, but I want to get into Bystander because I feel like this is a movie, like you said, you build trust and people understand what's going on. So this was your very first feature film. So what was it like getting this off the ground, going from mind to hand to paper to screen? What was that process like for you?
Long, scary, fun. I guess I should probably elaborate on that though. So the to start this off, like I never thought I was going to be a director, and I know that probably pisses some people off because I kind of fell into directing in a way that is not very common, and I'm very lucky. So I apologize to anyone who was frustrated by my story. But I never wanted to be a director because I just simply thought I wasn't able to do it. I don't know why. I just kind of had this thought that like, oh, I know how to write. I love writing. I'm gonna stick to that. Like I done so much writing on this. I know how to do it. It seems too complicated to direct. I'll just write about people's movies. And that all changed when I got my job at Dread Central. And previously to getting my job at Dread Central, I had read the Bystander script. Jamie Alvey, who wrote the script and is also Claire, one of the stars of the film, she wrote it in 2017 and has been working on it since 2017. And I read it while I was in grad school, actually, while I was doing my research. And I was so, it was just like, of course this movie like needs to exist. I love everything about what's happening here. I think it's so interesting. It's so different. So often these movies about sexual assault and revenge are about either a guy being the avenger or a woman being the avenger. And we just really flip that on its head here. And we also flip the idea of being an avenging angel kind of thing, like that kind of trope of those movies. And I loved that reversal and doing something different. And I just knew I wanted to be involved. I didn't know how at the time when I read it. I just knew that like I wanted to be involved. And I got my position at Dread Central, and with that came really awesome opportunities to be more involved with the production side of things because we are owned by Epic Pictures, who also has the Dread label, the horror label. And so I was working on some, producing projects. I was executive producing films like The Jester, Last Night at Terrace Lanes, Ghost Game, things like that. And I was also badgering my boss, Patrick Ewald, to make Bystanders. I was like, you want to push the boundaries. We want to do something new and different. Like, we should do this movie. And after pestering, which I'm great at, uh, got the green light. And I was just going to like kind of produce from the sidelines. Like I was just here to help get it off the ground and see what would happen. But he saw my passion for the project and he said, "Why don't you try directing it?" And I said, "Ooh." I think that was the exact sound I made in my head. I was like, "Ooh, eh? Like, what do you mean?" But then at the same time, an alarm bell, like a positive one, went off and said, "You will never get an opportunity like this again. Like, you might as well
Sure.
try it." And so I did, and I'm so glad I did. I loved every second of it. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but I'm so proud of what we did too. So I think it was worth it. Right now, I'm feeling like it was 100% worth all of it. But yeah, it really kind of it both fell into my lap and not at the same time. Like I've loved this script for a while, but my ability to direct it kind of serendipitously fell into my lap. So yeah, it's a long-winded
And
answer.
guys,
Sorry,
you're going to
but
be able to check this movie. No, that's fine. You guys are going to be able to check this movie out tomorrow. So I hope you guys are very, very excited about that. But real quick, before we go any farther, I do want to show you guys the trailer for Bystander. So I'm very, very excited for you guys to check this out. So let's get right to it. Here is the trailer for Bystander.
I am no good at this.
Just let Bree do it. We don't have all evening. The party's gonna be over by the time you get done. Besides, don't you want to look good for Cody?
Right, yeah.
Good. Strong a little bit.
Not so sweet anymore, are you? Gonna carve you pretty little things up just right.
Run! Oh, get! Go! Get! Go! You're gonna fast move!
You can't tell me that you haven't met just one little slug begging for it.
Please! Stop!
No, I really can't say that I have. No, please.
All right, guys. So now you have officially seen the trailer for Bystander. So we know this was your first time directing, Mary Beth, but what would you, if you had any advice to give a first time director, now that you've done this, what would your advice be?
okay. So my first very practical answer as the mom friend, please make sure you're eating and drinking on set. It is so easy, and I know this as a person who is on ADHD medication and forgets to eat quite regularly, that it's really easy to forget to eat and drink on set. Don't do that. It really makes it harder to direct, especially if you're doing night shoots. Always have a little something in your pocket, or have a friend or like a person on set who will just hand you something rather than asking. I know that sounds so basic, but like I promise you that was a huge thing I learned to just like keep myself going on the crazy schedule we had, on the late nights. Like again, it's so easy. I lost so much weight doing this, like because it was hot and I was sweaty and I was not eating enough, but I did have my producer every once in a while be like, drink a bottle of water for the love of God. So that's a huge one. Boringly practical, but on like a more filmmaking specific, I think the biggest things that I would want to impart on a first time filmmaker are trust your gut. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And do not be afraid to kill your darlings. In fact, be prepared to kill your darlings. These were the three biggest things I learned and the three biggest takeaways I had. I mean, I never directed. I was terrified I was going to make dumb mistakes and do stupid things and everyone was going to laugh at me. And then I have a lot of anxiety in general, but as soon as cameras started rolling and we called action for the first time, it just kind of went away, because I was like, at the end of the day, I have to make the decision. And if I'm not confident in it, no one will be confident in it. And I don't want my team to think that I am not confident about the work we're putting out. So that kind of helped me be more confident in myself as a director. I mean, it's so easy, both like as a woman with a mainly male crew. They were all incredible, but like I was a woman with a mainly male crew and I was nervous. Like I didn't know anybody. I was a woman in charge and I was like, they're all gonna think I'm stupid. One, no, they didn't. They were incredible people. I would never think that. But two, like it's not worth worrying about that, because you will prove yourself that you know what you're doing. That being said, you will not always know what you're doing. My ass sure didn't. And so you have to people can tell if you don't know what you're doing. Like it's really easy on set to tell if you have no idea what you're doing. So just ask for help and it makes it go way faster. The sooner you ask for help, the faster your day will go and the faster everything will go. And everyone will be like, oh, cool, she's not crazy and thinks that she knows everything and is actually like has no idea. And if your crew is great, which you know, hopefully they are, they will have no problem answering your questions. And 3, like, not everything you love is going to make it into the movie, and that's going to suck, and you're going to be sad about it. But I promise you, it's for the best. I do promise you that whatever you have to cut, it's for a good reason. Save it for the next
And
one.
that's exactly it. And you also have hopefully some special features and stuff in the future that we might be able to get to see. So
Definitely
now
check my social media for behind the scenes stuff too. Like on the Instagram is full of behind the scenes pictures and video, and even more will be posted as we get closer. So you can see me sitting in a bathtub scrubbing a dress and blood out of a dress, because again, with the 12-person crew and 12 days to shoot, everyone does a little bit of everything.
Yes. Well, and I do have all of Mary Beth's social media links down in the description, guys. So make sure you're following her, not only for these behind the scenes things, but this is her first time directing. So that doesn't mean it's her last time. She's going to have plenty of things coming up that you're going to want to check out. So make sure you're following her on social media and becoming a part of that family as well. When you're making a film about such a heavy subject matter, did you have anything you did on set to kind of keep things light and keep people smiling in between takes?
So I'm glad you asked this, because this is a big thing for me, was making sure everyone felt comfortable, both like all gender identities, because I think, you know, a big concern off the bat would be for the women playing the teenage girls at the beginning and wanting to make sure Brandy Botkin, who played Abby, like making sure she felt comfortable. But another big part was making sure the boys also felt comfortable, because we were making them act like pretty deplorable human beings and saying some very, very explicit things that it's difficult when you, especially because a lot of these almost all of our actors were brand new. This was like their first feature. They were all in their early 20s. I'm asking them to say like the C word. I'm asking them to like say like the nastiest things to people. And they like literally were like, "Are you sure we can say that?" I'm like, "As long as you're not saying it directed at someone on the cast or crew, like actually, you're okay." And
Right.
there was a lot of just like trying to reassure them and being like, "Hey, if you need anything." And when I've interviewed other people, and I find this true as on my own set, like the more dour the subject matter, the more fun the set, which is really funny. But like there were people that came, they were like lighting guys and sound. There's a sound guy that came on for a couple days when one of our sound guys had to leave. And he goes, "This is the most fun I've ever had in a set. And this is like one of the most depressed, like one of like the hardest movies I've ever worked on." And I said, "You're welcome." Because like we knew what we were making and we took it really seriously, but we didn't want to be like super serious, because this movie does have humor in it. Like there is humor injected in it. It's not meant to be super dour. It's got a lot of tonal changes in the movie, and I think we wanted to make that feel that way throughout the entire process, and everyone became really close. And so it was just a matter of keeping up that like vibe of you're doing a great job, and also like you're just an actor, don't worry, don't let this like try not to let this sit with you. So yeah, it was a lot of balancing, trying to make sure that everyone knew how serious this was, but also like weren't getting too into their own heads about it either, which I think we mostly did a good job.
Cool.
It's hard not to get into your own head about something like this, but like, you know, you do your best.
Exactly. You know, like
I got into my own head about it. Like I'm telling everyone, like, meanwhile I'm just stuck, and I'm just like, huh. But no one needs to know that I'm in my own head.
Right. And it is one of those things where, like you said, it's very hard to switch off when you're doing something so heavy. So the fact that you guys were able to do this is absolutely amazing. And like I said, guys, this comes out tomorrow. So please make sure you're following Mary Beth on social media. If you're watching this a day later, I have the link for the movie down in the description. So make sure you're going and checking it out now. But Mary Beth, before I let you go, we always go to the same question. The big thing we do here on Sledgehammer Horror is a podcast called My First Horror Movie, where we bring people on to talk about the first horror movie they watched and what it meant to them. But during those, my little buddy Ghostface usually makes an appearance, and he's here right now, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Mary Beth? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Oh. It's hard. It's always so hard to pick one. But oh no, another one just popped up. So there's 3 that like I'm thinking of, but
Okay.
I'm gonna cheat. Can I cheat? Can I cheat and do 3? Okay. Black Christmas 1974, iconic slasher, iconic film about women, iconic Bob Clark movie. Obsessed with that movie. Finally showed it to my husband this year. Very, very excited about that. Pulse by Kiyoshi Kurosawa is one of the scariest ghost stories of all time. I will not hear anything else about that. And then The Descent, Neil Marshall's The Descent is a classic. And then like coming up in the rear is Violation is one of my all-time favorites as well, which is from 2020. It's a newer one, but yeah, I think, yeah, I gave you 4, but
it still works. And Black Christmas, like I said, that's a movie. Rest in peace, Olivia Hussey.
I know.
Yeah, that was terrible. But Jess Bradford, to this day, and I've been on record saying this for years and years, is my favorite final girl. You know, it's
She's the best.
1974. Yeah, and
Yes,
she's like,
she's the best.
I don't need to quit school because you suck balls.
You can't ask me to drop everything I've been working for and give up all my ambitions because your plans have changed.
Or you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do.
I'm
with
going to
my
get an
time.
abortion.
I'm going to have an abortion.
You can't make a decision like that. You haven't even asked me.
I wasn't even going to tell you.
And I have a
Yeah.
life I want to live. In 1974, like right about Roe v. Wade, it's just like so iconic. And also so interesting that the final girl became so virginal and pure when like the first final girl, she was having sex, no problem. Like it's just interesting, the evolution. But Jess Bradford forever and ever. Also Justice for Black Christmas 2019. That movie also rules. And it is a sexual assault revenge thriller directed by a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
I know people don't like it, but I do.
I would have liked it a whole lot more if it had a different name. I went in with
Yeah,
different
I know.
But again, that's a story for another day because that film is starting to get its flowers. Like there are a lot of people that are coming around to that movie and really digging it. But like I said, it's just like Child's Play 2019. If that movie would have been called Buddy from the world of Child's Play, I think it would have made a whole world of difference in everybody's expectations. And just like Black Christmas 2019, if it would have had a different title, I think people wouldn't have went in with the expectations that they had of what they were hoping to see. So a lot of times just something a small tweak like that can change the whole world of everything in there. So Mary Beth, I do want to thank you again so much for coming on and hanging out with me. This is seriously an honor to be able to hang out with you and talk about this movie. And I hope you guys check this movie out because it is going to be one, like she said, not only is it a very heavy subject matter, but they do inject a lot of comedy into the movie as well. A lot of first-time actors, a first-time female director. Make sure you're checking this out. So Mary Beth, please don't go anywhere. I have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Everyone else, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Those links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.